Hello and welcome to another video, the last faction focus of the week, and in this one we're going to be looking at the new, Flesh Eater courts. So let's see if they've actually changed from a few months ago when they got their book. So yes, Flesh Eater Courts, the newest updated faction for 3rd edition Age of Sigmar, literally come out in like a few months ago. So not really expecting massive amounts of changes for this from the 3rd edition into 4th edition, because normally the last few books are written with the new edition in mind. So let's jump in and actually see what the ghouls are actually like. And if you are interested in getting into Flesh Eater Courts, then they're an undead faction of ghouls and vampires that think they're Bretonnian knights. So technically we do have Bretonnians in Age of Sigmar, just not like the old world counterpart. They're a bit weird, but kind of funny in a funny, weird way. So let's have a look at their traits and see what they get. So they've got their battle traits. So they have noble deeds. So each friendly Flesh Eater Courts hero starts with 0 noble deed points and can have a maximum number of 6. That hasn't changed. Each time a friendly Flesh Eater Courts hero uses a fight ability, after that ability has been resolved, give that hero a number of noble deed points equal to the number of damage points inflicted by that ability. Do not count companion weapons. That hasn't changed. Apart from the companion weapons, the companions is a new thing for 4th edition, so that's the new part. Each time a friendly Flesh Eater Courts priest hero uses a prayer, if the prayer is answered, give that hero 1 noble deed point. And it's exactly the same for a wizard. If the wizard casts the spell and the spell successfully cast, then give that wizard a noble deed point. So Feeding Frenzy is pretty much the same as what it was in 3rd. You add +1 to the attack characteristics of melee weapons. The newest part is obviously this also includes companion weapons, which is kind of cool. Used by Flesh Eater Courts units while they're wholly within 12 inches of any friendly hero that has 6 noble deed points. Then in your movement phase, they can pick a friendly courtier hero that has 1 or more noble deed points to use this ability. Spend either 1 or 2 of those heroes' noble deed points. If you spend 1 noble deed point, you can return 1 slain model to a friendly serf unit. So the serfs are basically your bog standard ghouls, wholly within 12 inches of it. And if you spend 2 noble deed points, you can return 1 slain model to a friendly knight unit. So your knight units are like your mounted ghouls on the new sort of weird bat things, and your really sort of big, your crypt horrors, your larger sort of ghouls that are on the 40mm base or have the big wings. Can't remember their name, but those ones. Also in your movement phase, you can summon loyal subjects, so you can pick a friendly aberrant hero. They're your like big heroes that has 6 noble deed points to use this ability. Then pick a friendly serf or knight unit that has been destroyed, and as you can expect, you get to put that unit back on the table at half strength. So just like the Stormcast and the Skaven, wholly within 6 inches of a battlefield edge and more than 9 inches from all enemy units. So there isn't really any summoning anymore in 4th edition from what we can see, but there is kind of abilities of bringing like destroyed units back, but at half strength. And then with the new rally mechanic, you're going to be able to get them back up to strength in no time. And then once per turn, your hero phase, you've got Royal Blood, so pick any number of friendly aberrants to be the target, and then effect heal D3 to that target, which is kind of cool. So that's pretty much him. They haven't really changed much at all from the 3rd edition traits. There's a couple of things with like the companions and things like that, but by and large it's pretty much the same, to be fair. So you got battle formation, you got ghoul patrol. That just sounds so cool. Gore splattered hunters. When players are altering picking units to use a fight ability, when it is your turn to pick a unit, you can pick 2 crypt ghoul units instead of 1. Either unit can have strike last, resolve the second fight ability immediately after the first. Basically, you can turn your ghouls into Lumineth Realm Lords, which is good. Well, hopefully we'll get to see what ghouls are actually like in this edition. So you've got a arcane incantation. So you've got summon the corpse may stampede, which is a faction endless spell / manifestation. Casts on a 7. So you pick a friendly wizard, roll 2d6, get 7 or higher, and then you can set up the corpse may stampede, wholly within 9 inches of the caster, and visible to them and more than 9 inches from all enemy units. And they give us the war scroll for the stampede, which is kind of nice. So the stampede is like kind of cool. It's basically a load of undead horses, which kind of looks kind of good. Should be fun to paint. So it's got a 5-up save, a 12-inch move. It's got health 10, and it has a 7+ banishment. So the corpse may stampede has 10 attacks. It hits on 5s, so it's a bit meh. It wounds on 3s, has no rend and 1 damage apiece. So you can get trample underfoot in your movement phase. So effects, this manifestation can move a distance up to its move characteristic. This manifestation can pass through models and combat ranges or enemy units, but it cannot end that move in combat. So you have to end outside of 3 inches. Then pick up to 3 enemy units that this manifestation passed across during that move to be the target, and then roll d3 for each target, and on a 2+, inflict an amount of mortal damage on that target equal to the roll. Pretty much standard kind of mechanic how we're expecting to see 4th edition now. You know, a lot of sort of mortal damage going out on a d3 on a 2+. But yeah, you're going to get at least hit a couple of units, and then you're going to be able to pile in and fight as well, which is kind of cool. So this manifestation can use this ability even if it isn't in combat. That's kind of good. So even if you're in combat, you can fly out of combat, trample everything, and then just make sure you end up outside of 3 by the end of it. Cool. So it also has a 6-up ward save, and it flies, and it's an ender spell, and all of that good stuff. But yeah, it's one of the faction-specific spells that they have. So the big bad Mortak of the Flesh Eater Courts, Ushoran, which is a really, really nice model. Games Workshop unique semi stuff. It has a 4-up save. He has a move of 10, 16 health, and control 5. He has the Scepter of the Carrion King, which is 4 attacks, 3s followed by 2s, 2 damage, d3 plus 3 damage. That's pretty good. The only real thing missing is an actual ability on it, but, you know, it's a pretty beaty stick. And then he has his Monstrous Talons, which is 8 attacks, 3s followed by 3s, 1 rend, 2 damage each. So he's gonna definitely put out the hurt. But if you get 10 damage or more into him, his Talons drop from 8 attacks down to 6 attacks, which is not too bad, but still, 6 attacks hitting on 3s, wound on 3s is still quite good. The Carrion King has a passive ability, so while this unit has 6 noble deed points, the effects of the Feeding Frenzy ability applies to friendly Flesh Eater Cults units while they are wholly within 24 inches of this unit instead of 12. That is huge. Now, you're probably going to want to get him into combat a lot, because he's got a decent damage output. Plus with the healing ability, because he does have the aberrant keyword, so you're going to be able to heal d3 wounds as well. And, you know, he's going to be able to buff that a 24-inch bubble around him. And if I remember rightly, I think he's on like a 60 mil base, maybe a 90 mil base. So that's a pretty big base with a 24-inch bubble around it. So yeah, definitely going to be seeing a lot of that being used. So your hero phase, he can cast the spell on a 7. So you pick pick a visible enemy model within 18 inches of this unit to be the target. Pick another enemy unit within the target's combat range to be the victim. Then roll a casting roll of 2d6. The effect, pick one of the target's melee weapons, immediately resolve combat attacks made with that weapon against the victim. So basically you can get your opponent's units to attack each other. This is going to be really, really good when you kind of get armies, and I will be doing this tactic in my Cities of Sigmar, where you kind of keep your heroes within a couple of inches of a friendly unit, kind of so you get the lookout sir and all of that stuff, so they can't be targeted, and you get all of that kind of good stuff. Ushoran's literally just going to use that against you because you're going to cast this spell and he's going to get that unit to beat up your heroes, essentially, which is kind of cool. So, you know, and this is goes into the whole sort of weird illusion things that these guys have got going on. So you've got a once per turn army, any combat phase. So you pick up to 3 enemy units in the combat with this unit to be the targets, and then you roll a dice for each target, and if the roll exceeds the target's control characteristic, that target has strike last for the rest of the turn. That is so strong, considering that most units that are probably going to be line type units are going to have it like at most a control of 2. So you just have to roll higher than a 2. And then you fight last, then he's going to absolutely shred you. So that's pretty decent. That's a really, really good ability. So in your hero phase, you've got Epicenter of Delusion, so you pick one of the following effects to apply until the start of your next turn. So you've got Royal Hunt, add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made by friendly Flesh Eater Courts units that target a monster. Pretty situational, but will have its place against things like Ogres and Gargants. Crusading Army, add 1 to run rolls and charge rolls for friendly Flesh Eater Courts units. You're probably going to be using that quite a lot. Defenders of the Realm, add 1 to save rolls for friendly Flesh Eater Courts units while they are contesting an objective you control. Yep, that could be really, really come key in late games. And Grand Omen, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by other friendly Flesh Eater Court heroes if they charge in the same turn. That's pretty good. Again, it's quite situational. It really relies on when you're going to get your heroes in, and you might not necessarily want to get your heroes into combat, especially if they're wizards and priests. You can get your noble deed points just by doing the castings, but your Crusading Army one is definitely going to be used a lot. So he also has, he's a wizard 2, so he's going to get cast 2 spells, and he's also a ward of 5+. We're kind of seeing a trend now that the ward saves seem to be around about 5s and 6s. Apart from Stormcaster, we've got a couple of 4s. So yeah, but they are, you know, the poster boys of the edition and the game, to be fair. So you got the Mara Scroll Herald, one of the new models that come out at the beginning of the year with the new battle tome. He has a 5-up save, 6-up move, a health of 5, 2 control, and he has his bonsai with 5 attacks, hitting on 4s, wound on 3s, 1 rend, 2 damage. So he's got a once per turn army-wide ability that's done in any charge phase. So pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target, and effects roll a dice. On a 3+, pick one of the following effects. So attack the apostate friendly Flesh Eater Courts units in combat with the target have strike first for the rest of the turn. That is really good. Welcome the discipline. The target has the infected keyword for the rest of the battle. Each time your opponent declares a command, spell, ability, or prayer ability on an infected unit, roll a dice, and on a 5+, if they declared a command, that command has no effect. Okay. The command still counts as having been used, and the command points spent to use the command are still lost. And if they declare the spell or prayer ability, the spells are failed. So yeah, that's pretty good, but it is on a 5+, so it's going to be quite hard to get off, but it is pretty decent. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So he also has a passive ability, Don't Shoot the Messenger. While this unit is not in combat and is wholly within in the combat ranges of 3 or more friendly Flesh Eater Courts infantry units or infantry models, it is not visible to the enemy. So it's kind of like the hero ability that you kind of get anyway, but you know, I think it's bumped out to like 3 inches, which is kind of good. So yeah, and then he has a 6-up ward save. He's interesting. I'd be interested to see what the judge guy gets, the guy with the intestines on his head. So then we got the Crypt Guard. These have got a musician, standard bearer, and a ward save of 6+. They have a 6-up save. So they're mostly going to be using that ward save. They've got a movement of 6, 1 health, and 1 control. And then they've got cursed weapons, which is 3 attacks, 4s and 4s, 1 rend, 1 damage. Why do these guys get rend and steel helms don't? Like, seriously. They're like using rusty weapons. Reaction, you declare a fight ability for the unit. If any damage points inflicted by attacks made as part of that fight ability are allocated to any enemy units, those enemy units cannot use commands until the start of your next turn. Pretty good. And then they've got Royal Bodyguard, so while any friendly Flesh Eater Cult heroes are wholly within the unit's combat range, both this unit and the hero have a 5-up ward. Okay, that's pretty good. You're probably going to use these to bodyguard your units anyway, because they're kind of like slightly better ghouls, with rend apparently, which is crazy. And then we get the zombie dragon, the good old classic zombie dragon. So it's 4-up save, 12-inch move, 14 health, and control of 5. Pestilent breath, so a 10-inch range, d6 attacks. Hits on 2s, wounds on a 4, 1 rend, 3 damage. It can be shot in combat, and it's a companion attack. Nice. It also has Draconic Maw, so 3 attacks, 4s followed by 2s, 2 rend, 3 damage. Again, companion attack. And it's got Draconic Claws, which is 7 attacks, 4s followed by 2s, 1 rend, 2 damage, and another companion attack. Which makes me kind of think that this is not really going to change much once you stick a Ghoul King on the back of it. So if you take 10 or more damage, your Draconic Claws drops down to 5 attacks. And in your deployment phase, you can pick this unit if it's not being deployed. You can set this unit up in the reserve, high above the battlefield, so it's going to be flying high. It has now been deployed, and then, surprise, surprise, in your movement phase, you can deploy it and set up anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches from all enemy units. Cool. And once per turn, army, any combat phase, if this unit charges this turn, roll a dice on a 3+. This unit can move 2d6 if it can pass through the combat ranges of enemy units, but must end that move in combat. Then pick an enemy unit that this unit passed across during that move and inflict d3 mortal damage on that unit. So yeah, that's a pretty cool ability. Good way of getting a little bit of damage out there as well. So pretty nice. So what else we got? And then we go into the Spearhead stuff. So we already know the Spearhead box because it only come out a few months ago. So we got the battle traits, which is basically a watered down version of what they've already got for Spearhead. And then we got the knight models, the ghouls riding the bats. So we get a rough idea of what they do. I can't see the stat line changing much. So 2 attacks, 3s followed by 4s, 1 damage, 1 rend, plus 1 damage on the charge because they're a knight, and then the claws, 4s followed by 3s, minus 1 rend, 2 damage, a companion attack, and then a 4-up save, moving 12, and they got a 6-up ward. So I've got a feeling that a ward save throughout the army is going to be a thing because they're an undead faction. Pretty crappy saves in most cases for things that are not knights, and these will be a knight. These are going to be one of the units that will have the knight keyword come the proper bigger version of Sigmar rather than Spearhead. But yeah, that's pretty much the ghouls and the Flesh Eater Courts. And then on Monday we're going to be looking at the Naked Dwarfs, the Fire Slayers, which is really cool because they are a really good faction. They really need more models, but hopefully we'll get to see some really cool stuff with them. And yeah, this is the Flesh Eater Courts. So not massively changed, to be fair. But never expected them to be, considering that they literally are the last faction to be updated. And I have a video coming out tomorrow talking about why 3-year editions are bad, and using the Flesh Eater Courts as a good example of that, as well as the World Eaters for 40k. So yeah, it's a shame, and it's probably because the fact that they're going to be a faction that have only just been updated and just come out, that you'll probably find that they'll probably be in the second half of the factions to get a battle tome, because they're not Lumineth Realm mode, so they don't get one every year, which means that, Flesh Eater Cult players have just got new rules and new models. They're only going to be lasting a few months, and then we're going to go into a new edition, and then they're going to be using an index faction pack for probably 18 months. before they get a new battle tome. And that's really crappy. But I go into more detail on the 3-year edition thing tomorrow, and that video should be up about, I think it's about 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. But yeah, that's Flesh Eater Court. On Monday, it's all about the Naked Dwarfs, and yeah. So if you like what I do, please like, subscribe, share, do all the things, press all the buttons, check out the members area in the Patreon, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.